Trudy McIntosh joins me from the ASEAN summit. The foreign ministers rebuked Paul Keating after he targeted her, Trudy. And as Australia hosts this major forum, breaking news that Penny Wong is also marking a significant milestone today. Penny Wong has become the longest-serving female cabinet minister in Australian history. Cabinet minister now for 2,769 days, Trudy. That's over 7.5 years, from 2007 to 13. And now from 2022, Penny Wong has gone past Amanda Vanstone, a fellow South Australian cabinet minister in the Howard government. So the longest-serving female cabinet minister in Australian history, and having to rebuke one of the former prime ministers.
Yeah, she has. Penny Wong has been a consistent target of the former Prime Minister Paul Keating during her tenure as Australia's foreign minister. He's been increasingly personal in his attacks directed at her. He accuses the Albanese government of being out of step with our Southeast Asian partners when it comes to the tensions between the United States and China, that great power rivalry. But he's also been particularly personal in the last year and a half when it comes to Penny Wong herself, in this statement saying that she, quote, sports her deeply concerned frown and accuses her of rattling the China can. Well, Foreign Minister Wong doesn't always bite back in leaving Mr Keating's comments to stand on his own. We saw the Prime Minister yesterday asked about Mr Keating's comments. He only replied with one word, saying no. Well, that has changed this morning. Here's Penny Wong's reply, pointing out that she is in fact born in the region from Malaysia herself. We've also seen a strident defence from her colleague, the Trade Minister Don Farrell.
Look, he's entitled to his views. I don't lose sleep over it, but I would say this: it was a new position to be lectured about the country of my, whether or not I understood the country of my birth in Malaysia. But as I said, he's entitled to it.
All right.
This is a woman who, over the last 2 years, has made up for years and years of neglect, both in the Pacific and in Southeast Asia. She's doing a fantastic job. So when it comes to a difference of opinion between Paul and Penny, I go for Penny any day.
And Trudy, my full interview with the Trade Minister Don Farrell, some more interesting remarks there on Paul Keating coming up. Also on the division within ASEAN on how to deal with China. That interview coming up in just a few minutes. ASEAN, as we've alluded to and as you've been reporting the last 24 hours, it's divided over Beijing's actions in the South China Sea, isn't it?
And right on cue, we saw China again with this provocative action against a Philippines ship late yesterday. The US has now been critical as well, accusing China of being provocative in its incident. It used a water cannon to fire at this resupply ship. The Philippines say that their crew on board suffered minor injuries. The Philippines are now summoning a Beijing diplomat as a part of this growing diplomatic incident in the South China Sea. But internally within ASEAN, not everyone agrees that Beijing's actions are a cause of concern. We saw the Malaysian Prime Minister in the Nine newspapers this morning saying he doesn't believe this is a big threat of China's actions in the South China Sea, and that the threat of a skirmish has been somewhat exaggerated. It's certainly not Australia's view, and if the Prime Minister is not scheduled at this stage to speak to the media, but if he does, he'll get asked about Australia's position on this latest skirmish. He was opening, though, this morning the final day here at the ASEAN Special Summit in Melbourne.
This is the breadth of our agenda, the shared prosperity we can achieve through closer trade and investment, the shared opportunity we have to act on climate and embrace clean energy, the shared responsibility we have to deepen our maritime cooperation, and our shared faith in our emerging leaders.
It's been a busy week of diplomacy here for Anthony Albanese, Kieran. This is the final day. He had a meeting this morning with his counterpart from Laos, the chair of ASEAN. He's likely to be invited later in the year, Kieran, for the formal ASEAN summit, which will be held in the region. So another thing to add to his busy travel schedule. But for the PM after today, back to domestic issues for the rest of the week.
Trudy, we will stay in touch right throughout the day. Thanks so much.